Chantal Ambrose, and I'm a dentist, and I host a healthcare business podcast that shares tips from the healthcare industry leaders. So, whether you're a startup or needing a push in the right direction, a family business, or just looking for mentorship, join us. So, hello everyone. It's me again. It's Chantal, and we are behind a smile. And today I have a very important guest, and I must tell you, he's one of the most patient men I have ever met. And I'm very grateful to introduce you to Dr. Thabo Twala. Now, Dr. Thabo Twala is the president. He is the CEO of the Dental Professionals Association. So on your WhatsApp picture is live minimally, tell the truth, don't hold grudges, dream big, exercise, meditate, eat well, avoid seeking approval from others, express gratitude for what they already have. I want to introduce you to a man that is part of the leadership of dentistry in South Africa. Welcome, Dr. Twala.
Thank you so much, Chantal. Thank you for the introduction. I'm not too sure if I live by what I put on my WhatsApp later. Probably that's what I aspire to. But thank you so much. I'm so honored to be a guest on your show. Thank you.
Hey, listen, Dr. Twala, I'm excited to have you on board. And I think that your role in South African dentistry is really important. And so we want to talk about that a little bit. But I want to start off with, can you share a little bit about your journey? How did you get to head this organization? How did you start with the DPA?
So I graduated in 1995, and immediately when I graduated, I became a member of DPA. And you may know or may not know that around 1998, at the time in South Africa, there were several dental associations. Then, they all came together, including the TPA, to form what came to be known as the South African Dental Association. And then within the Dental Association, the TPA remained as a special interest group. That's how I traced my participation in the TPA. And then around 2015, I was elected to be the chairperson of the TPA. Yes, so that's how I'm here.
Okay.
All my things, I'm the chairperson of the TPA.
Now, DPA it is an important organization, and just in the terms of the history of SA, and I would love for you if you can just share us a little bit of information, a bit about the DPA.
Yes, so the DPA was actually founded in 1990 as a social club of dentists. You know that during apartheid, Black people were not permitted to study dentistry. It is only when the former Nodunsa, now Stefan University, established a dental faculty, I think in 1984, that Black people could have a faculty at which they could train to become dentists. So the first graduates were, I think they started around 1988, 1989. So around 1992, there were about, give or take, 15 dentists who had graduated by that time, and then, they thought that, they should come together. Initially as a social club so that they could network, but, it was probably just a luxury to just be a social club. But then, because, there was political pressure all around, right?
Yes.
And the TPA then joined what was then South African Medical and Dental Professional Association. Yes. So that's what it was. So we became part of the SANDP. Of course, I think the people at the time, they had to take care of themselves because they were so few. But then a lot of the struggle was done in the anti-apartheid space. So, that's what the SANDP did. And then, therefore, DPA also did that. So around 1994, then we had the first democratic elections, and around 1996, 1997, the dental associations felt that given the new dispensation, let's form one dental association, which ultimately culminated in the formation of South African Dental Association in 1998. I must say that I was one of the first national councillors of SADA at its formation. Yes, so that's how it works. Unfortunately, the merger did not really result in the full integration. Different, elements that came to form the South African Dental Association. Especially at a cultural level, I think that's where the difficulties, were experienced. So to the extent that all the different associations came together, but the structure that actually remained was the structure of the old DASA, the Dental Association of South Africa. Whether it's the branches, whether it's the culture, whether it's, in any way. So I think people who were traditionally members of the DPA were feeling rather isolated and unwelcome. But nonetheless, we did our best to make it work. The second difficulty came, with the changes in the medical scheme environment. So as you may know or imagine, the vast majority of DPA members, they work in townships, they work in rural areas, they work in very far-flung places. But the main source of funding for the practice is actually medical aid. So the changes that are taking place in the medical aid space affect us daily, right? And we felt that the South African Dental Association at the time had actually lost interest in dealing with the changes in the medical aid space. And in fact, especially as it relates to dental managed care, we think that, there was a lot of collaboration between the association and, managed care companies to put into effect, managed care as we know it now in dentistry. So I think that was a cause of unhappiness. And unfortunately, around 2018, the marriage between the TPA and the South African Dental Association came apart. I think in a nutshell, that's what. Of course, there's still a lot of collaboration, but the marriage as it used to exist.
That journey is an important journey, and it's one that we actually don't get enough chances to listen to. I think that it appears that you were a pioneer of your times much earlier on, before you even reached DPA, from what it sounds like, because it took a lot of courage to be part of the professional fabric. And what was that like being a student then? Now, not all of our exposure comes from being able to be in sort of the city areas. And that makes a huge impact if you're running a practice, because you have to take into account just community care that involves transport. It involves other costs that your clients are seeing that are really quite significant to just being a really busy practice in the middle of a really busy town. So I think that the DPA is able to really offer support to dentists who are part of the process of knowing that not everyone's journey was the same as a dentist, as a practitioner, and certainly not as a patient. I really respect that about you. You're also a dentrepreneur. You have a number of different practices, and you are the founder now of the Ortho Academy. So can you tell me a little bit about that?
So, because you did ask me about the pre-apartheid, the democratic era. For us, especially at the level of universities, in fact, I think for most Black people, even in school, in high school, the anti-apartheid struggle was all over. It affected us in each and every way. So that's the environment in which we grew up. The environment of struggle. When we went to university, it actually intensified a lot. So, for instance, at the university that I trained, when I was still there, all the students were obviously Black students with a few Indian students as well. But all the lecturers, all the professors, the administrative staff, they were right. And, there was always, tension, right? Because, we were living during an apartheid. Even in the lecture halls, the anti-apartheid struggles was ongoing, all the time. So you couldn't actually separate, your educational process, from the broader anti-apartheid struggle. It was always intertwined. And that's the environment that the TPA actually, right, and the history of struggle. And unfortunately, even in post-apartheid state, we find that, there's still a lot of struggle that needs to take place. I think that's the background from which the TPA comes from. Now, as you rightfully say, we don't all come from the same privileged background. It's easy to say that you guys are dentists, you guys, you've made it, but the truth is not exactly that. For instance, a lot of us actually struggled, number one, to get university and also to sustain themselves during universities. At university, from funding, from accommodation, and, all sorts of things that, certain people may take for granted. But, many of us actually struggled to be able to get the basics that needed to succeed. So a lot of the dentists, for them it was a big struggle to just to graduate to become dentists. Now, as soon as they graduate, of course, the first day is great because everybody's got a public service post, great salary, every month. But when they finish, it's a different ballgame because structurally South Africa hasn't changed. There is a lot of change, yes, but structurally there's still division that are there. So there's division between the poor and the well and the rich. There's a division between the black and the white, and all sorts of things. So we find that a lot of the young dentists who graduate, for a variety of reasons, they invariably have to go back and if they're going to go into practice, establish a practice in the township, in a rural area, for many reasons. For cultural reasons, because it's the community that they understand. It's a community that initially they went to university so that they can serve. So, they simply go back and, but as soon as they start, challenges come about because now, you are generally working within a community of poor people, right? So, if people are going to pay you out of pocket, they're not going to pay you a lot of money. The prices, therefore, are priced, simply based on the affordability of the community around you, right? But luckily, most communities will have civil servants, government workers, police, nurses, teachers, and generally those people will be on one medical aid or they will be in certain communities where people are working in factories, in corporate offices, and so on, but, still staying within the communities, and those people will also have medical aid. So that is what actually makes medical aid be such an important source of funding, for township banks, because medical aids now have become limited in day fund, so that your scope of practice as a dentist who works in a township area becomes really limited to what is being funded by medical schools. I think that is the issue. So now, but then again, there are many other structural factors that are happening. So in as much as, it's not a one size fits all, because now, but we also find that, things are changing. A lot of people are, they're starting their businesses, they are moving into the suburbs, things are changing. But then also what is changing is that you do find people who then start to demand, more specialized dental services because of all the changes, especially the socio-economic changes that are. The challenge that comes is that, you're up to this point, your scope of practice has been limited, right? But now suddenly the demographic changes and the socio-economic changes demand more from you, and you've got a problem because your scope of practice has been limited up to this point. The other issue is that there is very few dental specialists in South Africa. I mean, if there's something that is beyond your scope of practice, the simple thing to do is to refer your patient to a specialist. But we have a problem that there are very few specialist practice, especially around in the rural areas, in the far-flung areas of the country. So you'll only find most specialists are concentrated in Johannesburg, Victoria, Cape Town, the big cities, but you will not generally find that across the country. So that is another problem and the problems are faced with. And specialist services are really expensive to. If you find a specialist, good luck. But then if you send your patient to a specialist, then the patient cannot afford the treatment that is being offered by specialists because specialists tend to be very expensive. The problem statement then for us, especially within the TPA, is that what do we then do? So at some point we took a very conscious decision. The only thing that we can is to really upskill our members. We have to upskill our members so that, of course, we would love as many of them to become specialists. But, it's not always possible. It's not possible, really, that they can become a specialist. Neither is it. So the decision that we took was that we need to engage on a concerted effort to upskill the members of, bearing in mind that, there's a lot of courses that are taking place, but they are not generally accessible to a lot of people. So we have to create an environment where, which is accessible to a lot of the people so that they can upskill. So we took a decision then to form study groups, national study groups in various fields. Endodontics was one because it was probably the precursor because people were demanding, they didn't want to remove teeth anymore. They were demanding, endodontic care. And what we learned at university, we realized was not quite adequate. So we had to invest a lot of resources into training our members to become proficient in endodontics. Orthodontics is one. Our patients are demanding. And, we then get a decision also to form an orthodontic study group. That's how actually the Ortho Academy came about. So the Ortho Academy is actually just a study group. It is not a formal institution. It's a study group, that is called the Ortho Academy. I coordinated. I've delivered a lot of workshops. I've developed a lot of lectures and so on. So that's how it is. And, not only that, and of course you are right, we've had about 400 people that have, come to study orthodontics with us with a lot of success, because now we are able now to respond to the needs of our patients, the needs of our community. And not only in orthodontics, but we are also doing work in implant dentistry, we're also doing work in aesthetic dentistry, and so on. The big thing that we are trying to do is practice management and entrepreneurship, because we really want people to really, be good clinicians, but also to become, better business people. So, don't know, should I go on?
Yes. Yes, you must. I think that you'll be hosting your annual congress soon. So I wanted to share with everyone that's coming up now on what date?
It will be on the 2nd of December. It will be held at the Ranch Resort in Polokwane in Limpopo. A very beautiful facility for conferencing. And for, if I may say so, people will be able to bring their families and, it's going to be a weekend of fun for the dentist, yes, definitely, but it can also be a weekend of, relaxation for the rest of the family.
Yeah, so I'm very sad not to attend, because I told you that when I heard that I was speaking at the event and then I couldn't make the commitment, I was really sad about it. But I would love all of our listeners to know how do they get on board? How can they join the Congress? Is there HRL details that maybe we can just have our listeners know about?
Yes, for sure. I think the easiest thing is just to log on to the TPA website, www.tpa.org.za, and all the registration, all the information about the conference are there, including the online registration links. Yes, that is That is the easiest way to do it.
Okay.
It's looking good. It's looking good. It's actually quite a different one because we have intentionally planned this conference to also include other members of the dental team. So everybody will be there. So the dentist will be there, the dental therapist will be there, oral hygienists, dental assistants, receptionists, practice administrators. Yes, so, and there's a reason for that, because we want to first of all inculcate a team spirit. We can talk more about scaling of a dental practice, but the basis of growing a dental practice is by having a very good team on the ground to support the growth of the dental. So that is why we are bringing everybody within the dental team together. So that we can all have the same mentality. Hopefully we can all share the same vision of growth. But these are early days. But we think that this is probably the best way of doing it, and also to take away the elitist nature of the dental profession. We want to make everybody feel that they are part of the profession, right? So, the dentist is not more important to the dental profession than the dental assistant, right? So that is the what we are trying to convey. Everybody has got a role to play. Hence we have all arranged this conference in this way. By the way, the theme of the conference is growing together. So that is what we are trying to do. So we are trying to grow together, not only as dentists, but as the entire dentist. So
this inclusive way of leading. I hear that a lot from what you say when you're talking is, I think your leadership style is very inclusive, and I think it's something that you offer the organization at large, being the CEO, being the president, to invite everyone on board as a team. What it does is it gives you a cross-board leadership where you're not looking at the hierarchy structure. You're looking at more an associative structure to lead. And I think when people feel included at that level and are part of the vision at the end of the line, something really magical happens. They are available to more knowledge, more participation, and more capacity. And they see in themselves the value that they really do benefit not only patients, but they benefit the team at large, and they see their value and they acknowledged for it. So I really admire that about the way the DPA is going about this inclusive leadership. Now, I have to ask you, you're the owner of multi-practices. How do you choose that magic team? Are there any tips that you can share with us?
But I think comes from the realization that you need to have a good team. So, as a dental practice owner, you need to make people feel that they are wanted, they are part of a team, their role and participation is valuable. So you need to make people feel valued, the starting point. Make them feel valued, make them feel that they belong, make them feel that they are within an environment whereby they can comfortably commit, whereby their work is going to help them to progress in life, in their careers, to be able to take care of their family. So you need to build trust, you need to build confidence in your team. You do that by doing a lot of things. Provide training. Right? So don't take it for granted that people will know. So you provide training, you communicate continuously and openly, you be transparent, delegate, so that everybody in the team, is responsible for the success of the team in whatever area that they are employed. So I think that's how it works, and the spirit of Ubuntu is actually a very powerful spirit. Be a good person. I think that's what, because the workspace, the work environment is really tough. The people who work with you, they come from and sometimes very difficult background, and you need to appreciate it and make accommodations. So I will give you an example, for instance. So assume that you've got a practice in Sentin. Well, most of us don't work in Sentin, but it's just an example. As a practice owner, you need to understand where your cleaner lives, right? You need to know where they live from the practice. Is transport available? If you expect your cleaner to be at work at 7 in the morning, is it easy for your cleaner to actually get to work? The time that this person is going to knock off, is it appropriate? Is it not too late for this person to be traveling on public transport and so on? So, and you need to take into account all those. In your pay structure, you need to factor in all those things that, this person, where they're staying, they have to be paying rent or whatever the case may be, there's transport costs. You need to know how many children they've got. Are they going to school? Are they, what is going on? And in the way that you are going to interact with this person, like have a clear pic of who this person, right? In certain instances, I would visit their families, but usually it would be, when there's a bereavement or whatever the case may be. So we will go and support. I think for me, that's the spirit of Ubuntu that I'm referring to. So, and ultimately people, they feel valued, they feel part of a family, and they commit to uplift, the practices of course. So I think that's the high track. But then to scale a dental practice again, it has to be intentional. Having multiple practices in itself is not the magic formula because it brings in its own complexities. But I think that making the most of where you are, right, scale as much as you can where you are. So usually you start as the only dentist in the practice. That's how most practices start. But as the practice grows, one needs to make space, for other professionals to come in. You make space for oral hygienists to come into the practice. You create space for dental therapists to come into the practice. The number, once you start doing so, the number of dental assistants and other support staff also increases. The investment in dental equipment also increases, and so on and so on. And your management skills become better. Right, so that's how it goes. And now, once you have established in one location, it actually makes it possible because, strange enough, once you have a team as the practice owner, you actually start to work less but then what it does, it gives you time to set up a second practice elsewhere because you are not, confined 8 hours a day to a single practice. After all, there's a team that is in place that is supporting. All right. So, you are then able to copy the best practices from here. And because you are not that busy anymore in this one practice, then it is possible to set up a second practice, a third practice, and so on. Incredible. I know people who have about 10, and obviously it means that you need to have put teams in place, systems in place, to be able to, to scale to that extent. If I may just go back to the dental conference, we have one of members of the DPA, this gentleman is incredible. Like, those is exactly what we want people to be, the people that they want to be exposed to, because it's like each and every one of us. Actually, I know him very well because we were at university at exactly the same time. But at this point in time, he's got 10 dental practices. He's a commercial farmer. He's got and he's a dentist. He's running 10 dental practices. He's got wines that are selling in Macro and Pick n Pay and probably many other places. He's the CEO of a major health organization. He's the deputy chair of a university council. It's incredible how one person can do so. And those are the inspirational stories that we want to hear, so that we can inspire, each other, but especially the younger dentists that, look, your life is not confined to a small, called the dental practice. So if you think bigger, if you work smarter, you can achieve a lot more. That is what we hope to engage people on, when we go to the conference. But in general, that's what we are trying to do at the DPA, to make our members realize that there's great opportunities out there. We should just be awake and alert and ready, to take advantage of the opportunity. And so, that's the value of this community, right? To keep on inspiring each other, to be building, each other.
Well, that's amazing and that's inspirational. I want to know now, what are the other benefits of your membership?
There's a lot. So, for instance, associations by their nature are political structures. So, they give members some level of political power. Okay? That being the case, say for instance now there's a lot of debate in Parliament regarding the national health insurance and so on. That national health insurance, when it gets implemented, it will affect dentists necessarily. It will affect the communities that you have said. It's the custodians of in South Africa. We have to make input. Now, it's more powerful if you make that input as a group, not as an individual. So that's the political power that I'm referring to. When we engage with medical schemes, we can only engage with them based on the political muscle that we carry. Right? The political muscle is product of the membership that we have. And so those are some of the things that we are currently having a matter before the Public Relations Commission, whereby, we are challenging of what we think are anti-competitive practices of managed care companies, the detriment of, and so on. So more than anything, that is the political power that, we are referring to. But there's also a whole lot of things that we are doing a lot of work in the educational space. Like I've referred to you to the study groups that we have nationally, contributes to the continuing professional development. Obviously, you have an association with dental protection. So we join forces with third parties, such as dental protection, to provide specific benefits to our membership. Essentially, that's what an association does. Those things that you as an individual cannot do, that's what an association should step into to do. Yeah, and that's part of the difficulty that's what people don't understand. People, they just want what they can see. But in fact, there's a whole lot of work that is going on in the background. There's a lot of engagement with government, with medical schemes, with dental protection, for instance, and many other entities in the background on behalf of the members.
So thank you for that. I just wanted to, who is the Dr. Twala that comes home from work now? What keeps you grounded and what keeps you motivated? What are your go-to daily stress busters?
It's a very difficult question. I don't know. I usually tell people that I actually rest at work, right? So I must say that my work does not stress me at all, mainly because I've got an incredible team, that I'm working with. So I actually enjoy going to work, enjoy the discipline of orthodontics. Yeah, so my daily life is great. I've practiced this in the Northwest and in Gauteng, so I spend a lot of time traveling, which is great, which clears my mind. Spending time with my kids is great. That's how I do. I study a lot. It keeps me busy, focused. In fact, I'm having an examination in implantology tomorrow. I've got 3 other degrees, not dental degrees. Business. So those are the things that I read a lot. I love news. I'm a news junkie. And watching soccer. That's what those are the things that I.
Well, that's fantastic. Well, I just want to thank you for making up the time and for sharing all of, I think, those aspects that we don't often talk about, and the level of inclusion that you're able to offer dentistry, I think, is quite exceptional. I really appreciate the time that you've given us, and we are looking forward at seeing you at the Congress. So we're inviting everyone today to clean the beach with Kind Brush and a Hossa. So on the 3rd of December, if you are in Cape Town, meet at the public swimming pool at Sea Point at 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Bring as many friends and family and get together for the beach cleanup. It's an initiative to get rid of plastic waste, make it a kinder breathing environment, make it a kinder swimming environment, make it a kinder living environment. So, the Clean the Beach initiative with Kind Brush and Ahasa is happening on the 3rd of December at Sea Point. So, we're hoping to see you there. We have covered starting up and how to turn your vision into a business. And in our future episodes, we look at leadership, we look at multi-practice success. Now, I'm grateful for you, and I would love to hear your ideas. What questions do you need answered? Please drop me a mail at behindasmile2@gmail.com. I look forward to hearing from you, and remember, you are heard, you are seen, and on this platform, you are invited. Let's make it happen together.